So it's official. Justin Trudeau has said he will resign as the Prime Minister of Canada. After days of speculation of will he or will he not, Trudeau finally cleared the air. He said he will step down as the Prime Minister of Canada and leader of his party, which is the Liberal Party. The 53-year-old leader held a press conference outside his residence in Ottawa to make the official announcement. He said he had the opportunity to reflect on the matter over the holidays. In his 30-minute odd press conference, Trudeau spoke on his time in office, the need for a stable government, and his rival from the Conservative Party, Pierre Poilievre. Justin Trudeau said this was the time for a reset, admitting that he was fighting some internal battles. The announcement marked an end to Trudeau's time in office. He served as the Prime Minister of Canada for almost 9 years. Trudeau's resignation comes months before elections in Canada are expected to be held, and at a time when there have been questions on Trudeau's popularity and leadership, and even discord within his own government and the Liberal Party. So what exactly led to Trudeau's resignation and what next? We spoke to former Indian Diplomat KP Fabian, who has served in Canada in the past, to put Trudeau's resignation in perspective. Hello and welcome, I'm Shubham Chohan. Let's get started. So thank you so much for taking out the time and speaking with us. Before I get into what Justin Trudeau's resignation means for India and Indo-Canada ties, I want to first understand from you, how do you look at the resignation of Justin Trudeau? He said that he's quitting as the Prime Minister and also as the leader of the Liberal Party. How do you see this playing out in Canada's context, sir?
Thank you for having me. And I'm glad that you asked that question because there is a tendency in India to look at his resignation only from the point of view of Indo-Canadian relations. That is a tendency which we should get out of. Let us understand what has happened. Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister for about 9 years plus, has announced that he would resign. He has not yet resigned. He would resign once his political party, the Liberal Party, has, as he put it, robust and nationwide consultations selected his successor. That's point number one. Point number two is that this month, January, the House of Commons was supposed to meet, and there was every likelihood that Justin Trudeau would have been voted out of office. Now, he has cleverly postponed it by getting the Governor General to prorogue the House of Commons till, I believe, 24th of March. So, till the 24th of March, he remains Prime Minister. So, in other words, he has extended his Prime Ministership by 2 months at least. Now, the next point is that quite apart from Indo-Canadian, what shall I say, tiff about the alleged Indian involvement in the murder of Nijar Singh. Quite apart from that, Justin Trudeau's popularity has been plummeting for the last so many months, mainly because of rising prices for housing and inflation. Added to that, Trump was elected on 5th of November. Trump threatened to impose high tariffs on Canada, Mexico, European Union, and other countries, including India. Now, we have to understand that United States, Canada, and Mexico have a special treaty arrangement. It used to be called NAFTA, but under Trump won, it was changed. Okay. Now, Trump said that he would raise tariffs on Canada. Trudeau got worried, understandable, but he got nervous. Well, in diplomacy, if you start getting nervous, then you are likely to do something not very bright. So he got himself invited to Mar-a-Lago. And Trump put out a tweet saying that he had a very cordial dinner with Governor Trudeau. In other words, he was mocking Trudeau that we would make, Trump would make Canada the 51st state of the United States. Now, Trudeau got, as I said, even more nervous. He came back to Ottawa and asked his finance minister, let us, sort of embark on some spending to boost up the economy. Now, she did not agree. She thought it was a, quote, in her words, a gimmick. And she resigned. She was also deputy prime minister. So that dinner with Trump and the resignation of his finance minister took, what shall I say, political support for Trudeau away from him within his party, within the Liberal Party. And a certain number of members of parliament wrote a letter saying that, hey, it is time to leave. So that is what has happened. Now, to what extent the tiff with India played a part in this? Well, it did play a part, but that is marginal in the sense that with less Indian students going to Canada, the higher education system in Canada, partly dependent on support from Indian students, got into trouble. But I do not think that is the determining factor.
Right. So you you mentioned about Trudeau's meeting with Trump and briefly about the New Delhi bit. What I want to understand, when you look back at the last about 9 years that Justin Trudeau has been in office, when he sort of came onto the scene, he was looked at as this poster boy for the Liberals on the global stage as well. This Liberal leader who's now leading Canada. 9 years, 8.5, 9 years into his tenure. What is your overall assessment of Justin Trudeau's tenure as the Prime Minister? You mentioned about the internal battle, something that he talked about as well in his press conference the other night. He said that he cannot continue to lead the country if there are internal battles that he has to fight within. And he spoke on a range of issues in that 30-minute odd press conference. But what is your overall assessment of Justin Trudeau as the Prime Minister of Canada, particularly at a time when, as the country is heading into elections, the prospects for the Liberal Party aren't looking the brightest at the moment?
Okay, let me share with you that I was acting High Commissioner for India in Canada when Justin's dad was Prime Minister, Pierre Elliott Trudeau. Of course, Pierre Elliott Trudeau was not there during Blue Star or during Kanishka, as some Indian news channels have been putting out. No, but he was there when I was there. And to put it in a nutshell, Justin is not a chip of the old block. He is not equal to his dad in political being savvy. He is sort of, what shall I say, at times he tends to be too clever by half. As for example, when he made the statement in the House of Commons about India's involvement in the killing of Niger. I'm not taking a position that India was involved or not involved. That is not the point. The point is Trudeau contradicted himself because on the one hand, he said the RCMP was investigating it. And without waiting for the investigation to be complete, he came out with a what shall credible allegations. That were the words. Now you see a prime minister, or for that matter, any responsible official does not use the word credible allegations. You know, so what I'm trying to say is that Justin's choice of words leaves much to be desired.
Right. So you're saying it leaves much to be desired. But you, like I said, you talked about that Trump meeting. Now, whoever becomes the next prime minister, with Donald Trump all set to become the next president of the United States on the 20th of January, how do you see US-Canada ties now playing out? With whoever becomes the prime minister now, and whatever happens, which has to happen by October, which are elections in Canada. So, how do you see US-Canada ties going forward? How, given how it was between President Joe Biden and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's tenure?
Okay, now let us ask the question, why did Trump take the trouble to make the offer to make Canada the 51st state? Was he getting malicious pleasure by tormenting this younger man? Maybe, but there is much more to it. Trump wants to make sure that the leader of the opposition, Poilievre, in Canada, whose star is rising as Justin's is plummeting, he wants him to be the next Prime Minister of Canada because ideologically he is, if I may say so, a follower of Trump. So Trump wants a regime change in Canada, but in a very sophisticated way, rather than arranging for a coup, you see. So that is why Trump did it. And now there will be election either in October or earlier. October, you cannot prolong it, delay it beyond October. But most probably in March, when the House of Commons meets, Trudeau will be unseated and there will have to be election. And Poilievre is supposed to make it. That means Trump will have someone who is listening to him as the Prime Minister of Canada. Now you can imagine how the relations will be between the two countries, at least for a while.
Right. But if I have to ask you pointedly, do you think that the whole 51st state of America, Canada being the 51st state of America, do you see the possibility of that becoming a reality? Or do you think it's just one of those things that you associate with Donald Trump and the kind of words he uses, the kind of statements he makes in the media?
No, it was, he derived much malicious pleasure, A, and he derived much political advantage by saying that. There is no question of Canada ever becoming the 51st state of the United States.
We'll come to New Delhi and what this means. The Hardeep Singh Nijjar incident was really the one that ensured that India-Canada ties hit rock bottom in a way with the kind of allegations that Justin Trudeau leveled. New Delhi has firmly maintained that Canada is yet to provide any substantial evidence with regards to that and share it officially with New Delhi. How will New Delhi see this change of Justin Trudeau quitting and whoever becomes the next prime minister? And would a conservative government be more favorable to New Delhi, like you're saying it could be in the case of Donald Trump and Pierre Poilievre, who's the leader of the conservative and who's touted to be the next prime minister of Canada?
You see, much depends on domestic politics. If the Conservatives get a clear majority, that is likely to lead to better Indo-Canadian relations from the point of view of Sikh politics in Canada. But if the Conservatives do not get a majority on their own, and if they have to be supported by others, including NDP, New Democratic Party, then it will be the same story again, except that Poilievre might be less impulsive than Justin Trudeau.
Right. Do you think whatever happened between Justin Trudeau and New Delhi, right from the time he came over to New Delhi, and there was this allegation of a Khalistani being invited to an official ceremony in New Delhi, from that to the G20 summit and the whole Hardeep Singh Nijjar incident, how do you see? Do you think there is no way back up for India Canada ties from here on, or what is the kind of work that will really be put that has to be put to ensure India Canada ties come back on track, given what we have seen in the last few years under Justin Trudeau?
Yeah, as I said, you see, Justin Trudeau did what he did, and I personally think it was not a very wise thing, mainly because of his need for support, political support from NDP for his survival. Now, if Olivier also finds himself in a similar situation, well, he might also do roughly the same thing, but he will do it less impulsively and with a little more of maturity than just. But the theme is the same. Let us understand one thing, and I am afraid we in India do not. The Sikhs are an important political actor in Canadian politics. The non-Sikhs, the Hindus, well, they are there. They also have some MPs. But the Sikhs are better organized. You know, they control one or two states. Manitoba, for example. You know, they are better organized and they are a political force to reckon with. The sooner New Delhi realizes this, rather than, oh, Khalistan, 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 well, the better. And one more point, last point. Let the so-called Khalistanis shout from housetops in Canada, we want a Khalistan. India should not bother. India should just ignore them. Because only when India takes notice of them, that the rest of the world takes notice of them. Only when the Indian media magnifies the matter, then only the rest of the world takes interest in them. India should just ignore it. But whenever there is a threat of violence or actual violence perpetrated, then India should tell Canada, listen, it is your obligation to lend protection to Indian missions in Canada under the Geneva Convention. I mean, under the Vienna Convention. Discharge your obligations. Don't bring in Khalistan there. Whosoever is threatening Indian mission in Canada, whether they be from Siberia or from so-called Khalistan, it doesn't matter. Take action. By giving the impression that we are allergic to propagation of Khalistan by words, and that Canada is obligated to stop those who are propagating Khalistan by words, we are only harming our case.
Do you think New Delhi sort of overreacted with the Khalistan bit? Like you said, they should just rather ignore it than react to it constantly. Do you think New Delhi overdid that?
I honestly think so. I was there in Canada when the Khalistan, not only propaganda, action was much worse. You see, I never took up
Right.
with the Canadian government, oh, these people are talking about Khalistan, make them stop. No. But whenever they threatened Indian, say, State Bank of India or Air India, I said, it is your duty to give protection.
Right. It'll be very interesting to see how things play out between New Delhi and Ottawa, given the change of government and the impending elections in Canada. Fabian, so thank you so much for taking out the time and speaking with us. It's always a pleasure to hear your views on these subjects. Thank you so much for joining, sir.
Stay ahead with our cutting-edge news app. Instantly access the latest shorts in just 1 minute and breaking news in just 50 words. Download now for a smarter, faster news experience.